Good day to all my alternative thinking, life loving maniacs. Welcome to another episode of Rican Vandrilla by your host Andrew. Now, today will be another fun video. Well, kind of fun anyway. Next week will be where the fun really begins, so just keep your eyes peeled for my videos for next week. Because next week will be where the real fun begins. But this video is also, it's not going to be as fun as what's going to be on next week, but it is a very important video. Now, what I will be discussing today will be what type of van you should buy and how much you should pay for it. Now, first of all, and this applies to people who van drill full-time or part-time. Now, mainly I'm talking to you van drillers out here. Now, before you get out here and van drill, number one, what you need to consider is, are you going to be van drilling by yourself? Is it going to be you and a pet? And if you got a pet, will it be a dog and a cat? And how big is your pet? Are you going to be with another person who possibly might have pets? Are you going to be with your family? I mean, how many people and how many pets and how much stuff are you going to want to bring with you on your van drilling adventure? Now, if it's just you and maybe a small pets, a van like this one, a minivan, might be good enough for you. Now, I know there's other people that a minivan is going to be a bit too small. They're going to want something a little bigger, like a full-size van. So, number one, you need to bear in mind what kind of van you want. Number two, which actually should be number one probably, you need to look at how much money do you have available to purchase a van. Now, me personally, from my experience, when it comes to shopping around for a van, if you want anything that's half decent, that's not going to be loaded up with miles and driven from hell and back and beat up and all that kind of good stuff, I would prefer that, me personally, I would suggest that people plan to spend at least $2,000 for a decent van. Rather you choose to buy a minivan or a full-size van, I would spend a minimum of $2,000. Now, like I told you on my other videos, I've spent $450 on this van. However, so far I have put in, including the purchase of the van itself, so far I have put $1,000 into this van. And that does include the $450 that I paid for the van initially. And I still need to put a new exhaust on this van, which that might run me, if I had to take a guess, maybe $250, $300 for a new exhaust. So, when picking out your van, you need to also consider how much money are you going to want to put towards repair. Now, if you're a mechanic and you know how to do a lot of that work yourself, then life is going to be that much easier for you. But for the majority of us out here that are not mechanics, we need to bear in mind how much repair work are we going to want to do, are we going to be able to do to this van once we purchase it. Now, like I said a minute ago, if you're by yourself and maybe you got a small pet, you can get by with a minivan. If it's you and another person and you two really get along, you can get by with a minivan then. Now, if you have a family that you're going to be traveling with, then you're going to need a full-size van. And if you got pets, you're going to definitely need a full-size van. Now, when it comes to purchasing a van, I mean, I made a video the other day. It's a 3-step video that breaks down how to inspect and test drive the van or vehicle, for that matter, that you're going to be purchasing. So I highly stress everybody to watch those videos, and I thank you all for watching those videos in advance for those who haven't viewed those videos yet. But anyhow, number one, you need to consider that your needs when you're on the road as a van driller. This coincides with, you need to consider, okay, well, how big of a van do you need or do you want? And then thirdly, you need to look at how much money you have for a van. And like I said a minute ago, I would suggest that you purchase a van for a minimum of $2,000. Now, basically, in a nutshell, if you spend a couple of $1,000s on a van, obviously the van will be older, and even at $2,000, yes, you'll have to do a few things to it. I mean, nothing major, but you'll have to do at least a few things to it. Now, if you're looking for something that you might not have to do much of nothing to it, then at that point, I would suggest that you spend a minimum of $5,000 for a van. Now, I know some of you out here are going to probably go ahead and purchase a van or an RV and be willing to make a small payment. Now, me personally, part of the van life is to minimalize your stuff. Is to minimalize your debt load. So, for me, I would never buy a van or an RV on a payment plan, because that defeats the purpose of the lifestyle, if you ask me. But to each his own. So after you put into consideration the kind of van you want and how much money you have for a van, you also need to consider how much money will that van cost you for repairs. I mean, just without even taking it into a mechanic, just think, okay, well, this is an 8-cylinder van, and the tires are, I don't know, yay big. So you want to just generically think, okay, will I be able to afford to maintain this 8-cylinder van? Or should I buy something smaller that would be a little more budget friendly? So let me think. Just give me a second here. I'm still trying to figure some more stuff out here. Oh, and another thing is also take into consideration where you're going to drive. Now, if I were you, and let's say I was going to drive out to the west, out in the desert, where, you got a lot of hills and mountains in some places, and you have a lot of sand that can make driving somewhat of a challenge at times. Now, if I were going to drive out in that type of environment, personally, I would purchase a 4-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive van. That's me. Or if I couldn't find such a thing in my budget, I would at the very least purchase a full-size van, put like a few bricks in the back maybe, and throw on some winter tires. That way, when I'm driving out in the desert and I'm driving over sand, my chances of getting stuck will be less. So definitely consider the type of environment that you're going to be driving in, because you don't want to buy some van that's low to the ground and lightweight, and then when you take it out on hills and mountains out into the desert, you come back crying about your transmission is messed up. So definitely consider the type of environment that you're going to be driving in. Now, since van life is about being stealth and being unnoticed by the general public, you also need to take into consideration the color of your van. Now, me personally, this should kind of go without saying. Do not buy any vehicle that's going to be real bright. Buy color, like, here's some colors that I would pick if I were to get a van. You can get like the color that I got, a dark red / maroon. I call it cranberry red or beet red. 2, black. 3, white. 4, gray. I mean, just neutral colors. Dark blue. I think y'all get the idea by now. So that's basically what I can think off the top of my head of what to consider when purchasing a van. I'm gonna just rehash this real quick. You want to consider, number one, what are your needs gonna be? How many people are you gonna be traveling with? How many pets, if any, will you be traveling with? How much stuff do you want to take with you? And then with that being said, you want to consider, do you want a minivan or do you need a full-size van? Are you going to be able to get by with a regular rear-wheel drive van, or do you need one that's all-wheel drive? Are you going to be able to get by with the regular tires that come with the van, or are you going to need to buy renter tires with the van? Then you're going to want to look for a van that's neutral in color. Then you're going to want to consider how much are you able to afford to spend on a van. And how much are you going to be able to afford for repairs on that particular vehicle. And as I say, if you want something that's half decent and you don't mind doing a little bit of work to it, look to spend a minimum of $2,000. Obviously, the more you spend, the better the van that you're going to typically get. So once again, if any of you all who are viewing this video feel that I'm missing something, leave a comment below. I would greatly appreciate it, because I want to be as informative as possible to my viewers and my subs, because that's what my channel is all about. It's about informing and educating people about this van life. What I learn is what you learn. That's what my channel is about. So thanks for watching another episode of Freaking Van Driller. Like and subscribe below. Have a blessed day.